Lee Dabin wiped the grease from his hands with a dirty rag. The clock on the wall showed 3 in the morning. He should have gone home hours ago, but the transport shuttle needed fixing before dawn. The miners would be angry if their ride to work was not ready. His salvage yard looked like a metal graveyard under the pale moon of New Busan. Old ships and broken machines stood in neat rows between his workshop and the colony fence. Dabin had built his business from nothing. Every bolt and wire in this place had passed through his hands at least once. The coffee in his mug had gone cold again. He took a sip anyway and made a face. Bad coffee was still better than no coffee. That was something his father used to say before the mining accident took him away. A strange humming sound made Dabin look up from his work. The noise grew louder each second. It sounded like singing mixed with the roar of engines. He had never heard anything like it before. The humming turned into a screaming whistle. Something big was falling from the sky, very big. Dabin dropped his tools and ran outside. A bright light cut through the darkness above him. The object was glowing like a star. But stars did not move that fast. Stars did not leave trails of blue fire behind them. Oh no, Dabin said to himself. Not my yard. Please, not my yard. The universe did not listen to his prayer. The object slammed into the ground 50 meters from his workshop. The impact shook the earth so hard that Dabin fell to his knees. Metal parts flew through the air like deadly rain. The sound was louder than thunder. When the dust settled, Dabin saw something impossible. Where his best collection of spare parts used to sit, there was now a crater. In the crater was a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. The ship was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Its hull was made of what looked like crystal, but crystal that bent light in strange ways. Colors flowed across its surface like oil on water. The ship was shaped like a teardrop, smooth and elegant even in its damaged state. Steam rose from the wreckage. Cracks ran along the crystal hull like spider webs. One wing was completely gone. The other hung at a broken angle. Whatever this thing was, it would not be flying again soon. Dabin stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. 20 years of fixing broken machines had taught him to stay calm in emergencies. But this was different. This was not a mining accident or a transport breakdown. This was something from another world. A section of the crystal hull began to glow brighter. The glow spread outward like water, and then the wall simply disappeared. Not broken or melted, just gone. Someone was coming out. The being that emerged from the ship was tall, much taller than any human. It stood 7 feet high with broad shoulders and long arms. Its skin was covered in scales that shifted color in the moonlight. The scales looked like pieces of metal that had been heated until they showed every color of the rainbow. The creature had a face that was almost human, but not quite. Its features were sharp and proud. Its eyes glowed with a soft golden light. When it opened its mouth to speak, Dabin saw teeth that were perfectly white and very sharp. "You," the creature said in accented but clear English. "Human, I require immediate assistance." Dabin blinked. Of all the things he had expected the creature to say, a polite request for help was not one of them. "Are you hurt?" Dabin asked. It seemed like the right question. The creature looked surprised, as if no one had ever asked about its well-being before. "I am uninjured. My vessel, however, has suffered significant damage. You will repair it at once." The words were spoken like an order, not a request. Dabin felt his temper rise. He did not care if this thing was from another planet. No one came crashing into his yard and started giving him orders. "Listen, friend," Dabin said, crossing his arms. "I do not know where you come from, but here we ask nicely when we need help. And we usually start by saying sorry for destroying someone's property." The creature's golden eyes widened. Its scales shifted to a darker color. "You dare speak to me in such a manner? I am Prince Hyunwoo of the Draconic Empire. I command fleets that span star systems. I do not apologize to primitives." "Prince or not," Dabin said, "you just turned my best scrap collection into a crater. That was 3 months of work you destroyed." Prince Hyunwoo looked around the salvage yard as if seeing it for the first time. His gaze moved from the broken machines to the neat piles of sorted parts to the small workshop where Dabin spent his days. Something in his expression changed. "This place," Hyunwoo said slowly, "belongs to you?" "Every bolt and wire," Dabin said with pride. "Built it myself from nothing." The prince was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Less commanding, more uncertain. "I apologize for the damage to your property," he said. The words seemed hard for him to say. "I was fleeing pursuit and lost control of my vessel. Your colony was the nearest inhabited world. Dabin studied the alien prince. Something about the way Hyunwoo held himself suggested he was not used to apologizing. Maybe princes on his world did not need to say sorry very often. What kind of pursuit? Dabin asked. The kind that ends in marriage, Hyunwoo said bitterly. I was supposed to arrive at my betrothal ceremony 3 days ago. Instead, I find myself stranded on a primitive world with a damaged ship and no way home. Dabin looked at the crystal ship again. Even broken, it was the most advanced piece of technology he had ever seen. The challenge of fixing it made his hands itch for his tools. How much can you pay? He asked. Hyunwoo reached into a pouch on his belt and pulled out a handful of gems that glowed with inner light. Each one was worth more than Dabin made in a year. Will this cover the repairs and the damage to your property? Dabin grinned. Prince, I think we can do business. The morning sun cast long shadows across the salvage yard. Dabin had been working on Prince Hyunwoo's ship for 6 hours straight. His back ached and his eyes burned from staring at crystal matrices that seemed to change their structure every time he looked away. The alien prince paced back and forth behind him like a caged animal. Every few minutes, Hyunwoo would stop and ask how much longer the repairs would take. Each time, Dabin gave the same answer. I do not know yet. This is unacceptable, Hyunwoo said for the 20th time that morning. I have never been late for anything in my life. My bride will think I have abandoned her. Dabin set down his scanner and rubbed his temples. The headache was getting worse. Look, Your Highness, this ship of yours is not like anything I have ever seen. These crystal things are not just broken, they are confused. Confused? Hyunwoo stopped pacing. What do you mean confused? Watch this. Dabin touched his scanner to one of the damaged crystals. The readout showed energy flowing in 3 different directions at once. This crystal thinks it should be doing the job of that crystal over there, but that crystal thinks it should be working with the crystal on the other side. None of them agree on what they are supposed to do. Hyunwoo stared at the scanner display. That should not be possible. The harmony matrix is perfect. It has worked the same way for 1,000 years. Well, it is not working now, Dabin said. And until I figure out why, your ship is not going anywhere. The prince's scales shifted to a deep red color. Heat began to rise from his body like steam from hot metal. You do not understand. The ceremony is tomorrow. If I am not there, it will mean war between our houses. Getting yourself killed in a broken ship will not help anyone, Dabin said. You need to calm down and let me work. Calm down, Hyunwoo's voice rose to a shout. I am the heir to the dragon throne. I do not calm down for primitives. Dabin stood up and faced the angry prince. And I am the guy trying to fix your ship. You want my help or not? Before Hyunwoo could answer, his mouth opened and a stream of superheated plasma shot out. The plasma was bright orange and smelled like burning coffee beans. It missed Dabin by inches and melted a hole through a sheet of metal. Both of them stared at the smoking hole in silence. I apologize, Hyunwoo said quietly. When I become emotional, I sometimes lose control of my fire. Dabin looked at the melted metal, then at the prince, then back at the metal. An idea was forming in his mind. A crazy idea, but maybe crazy was what this situation needed. Come with me, he said. Where are we going? To get coffee. The New Busan coffee shop was the closest thing the colony had to a social center. It sat on Main Street between the mining office and the general store. The building was small and painted bright yellow. Hand-painted signs in the windows advertised fresh coffee and homemade pastries. Park Minji looked up from behind the counter as they walked in. Her eyes went wide when she saw Hyunwoo, but her smile never wavered. Minji had been running the coffee shop for 3 years. In that time, she had served everyone from drunk miners to visiting government officials. She prided herself on treating all customers the same way. Good morning, Dabin, she said cheerfully. Who is your friend? This is Prince Hyunwoo, Dabin said. He is from another planet. Nice to meet you, Your Highness. Minji gave a small bow. What can I get you this morning? Hyunwoo stared at her. In his entire life, no one had ever treated him with such casual friendliness. Royal protocol demanded that people either bow deeply or avoid eye contact entirely. This human woman was doing neither. I do not understand, he said. Are you not afraid? Should I be? Minji asked. You seem polite enough. A little tall, maybe, and your eyes are very pretty, but I do not see anything scary. Hyunwoo's scales shifted to a lighter color. Dabin thought he saw the hint of a smile on the prince's face. 2 coffees, please, Dabin said, and whatever pastries you have fresh. Minji turned to work on their order. The coffee machine hissed and gurgled as she prepared the drinks. The sound seemed to fascinate Hyunwoo. He leaned forward to watch the process. This device creates the beverage? He asked. It brews coffee beans with hot water, Minji explained. The heat and pressure extract the flavor. Would you like to see how it works? She showed him the different parts of the machine. Hyunwoo listened with intense concentration, as if he were studying battle plans instead of coffee preparation. When Minji handed him his cup, Hyunwoo inhaled the steam rising from the hot liquid. His golden eyes closed and his scales rippled with color. This smell, he said softly. It is like my fire, but gentle. He took a careful sip. The effect was immediate. His scales brightened to a warm gold color, and a low humming sound came from his throat. The sound was pleasant, like distant singing. This is remarkable, Hyunwoo said. On my world, we consume nutrition paste. It provides all necessary elements for survival, but it has no flavor. No flavor? Minji looked horrified. What about celebrating? Or comforting yourself when you are sad? Or just enjoying a good meal with friends? We do not require such things, Hyunwoo said, but his voice lacked conviction. Minji placed a plate of fresh pastries on the counter. Try the glazed donut, it goes perfectly with coffee. Hyunwoo picked up the donut and examined it carefully. What is its purpose? Its purpose is to taste good, Dabin said with a grin. Not everything needs a practical reason. The prince took a small bite. His reaction was even stronger than with the coffee. The humming grew louder and his scales blazed with golden light. The empty coffee cups on nearby tables began to vibrate in harmony with the sound. By the ancient flames, Hyunwoo whispered. What sorcery is this? Just sugar, flour, and a little love, Minji said, clearly delighted by his reaction. Hyunwoo finished the donut in 3 more bites. With each bite, the humming grew stronger. The vibrations were affecting more than just the coffee cups now. The windows were starting to sing, and the metal fixtures were resonating like tuning forks. Fascinating, Dabin said, watching the phenomenon. Your emotional state is creating harmonic frequencies. I feel different, Hyunwoo said in wonder. Lighter somehow, as if a weight I did not know I carried has been lifted. That was when Dabin understood what was wrong with the ship. The crystal matrices were not just machines, they were emotional resonance systems. And Hyunwoo had been broadcasting his conflicted feelings about the arranged marriage without realizing it. Prince, Dabin said, I think I know how to fix your ship. Back at the salvage yard, Dabin explained his discovery to Prince Hyunwoo. The crystal ship was not just a machine. It was alive in a way, connected to the emotions of its pilot. When Hyunwoo felt conflicted about his arranged marriage, the ship felt conflicted too. The crystals respond to your emotional state, Dabin said, pointing at the scanner readings. When you are unhappy or confused, they become confused too. They forget how to work together. Hyunwoo stared at his damaged ship. I have piloted crystal vessels for 20 years. No one ever told me they were connected to my feelings. Maybe no one knew, Dabin suggested. Or maybe dragon pilots are usually more sure of themselves than you are right now. The prince's scales darkened with shame. A true dragon does not doubt. We are taught this from birth. Doubt is weakness. Where I come from, doubt means you are thinking, Dabin said. Only fools never question anything. They worked together for the next few hours. Dabin showed Hyunwoo how to read the energy patterns in the crystals. The prince was a quick learner. Soon he could spot the places where the ship's confusion was strongest. Here, Hyunwoo said, pointing to a cluster of small crystals near the engine core. These are the most damaged. They pulse with different rhythms. Right, Dabin said. Now try to remember how you felt when the ship first started having problems. Hyunwoo closed his eyes and concentrated. I was flying to the ceremony. The closer I got to my homeworld, the more trapped I felt, like the ship was becoming a cage instead of freedom. The crystals pulsed brighter as he spoke. Their chaotic patterns became even more scrambled. "There you go," Dabin said. "The ship was feeling trapped because you felt trapped. To fix it, you need to figure out what you really want." "What I want does not matter," Hyunwoo said bitterly. "I am a prince. My duty is to marry Princess Sona and unite our houses. Do you love her?" The question hung in the air between them. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long time. "I have met her 3 times," he said finally. "She's beautiful and intelligent. She will make an excellent empress, but love, I do not know what that word means." Dabin felt sorry for the alien prince. For all his power and wealth, Hyunwoo seemed to know very little about being happy. "Come on," Dabin said. "Let us take a break. You look like you need another donut." At the coffee shop, Minji greeted them with her usual warm smile. The morning rush was over, and the place was quiet except for a few miners playing cards in the corner. "Back so soon?" she asked. "How are the repairs going?" "Slowly," Dabin said, "but we are making progress." Minji poured fresh coffee for both of them. Then she brought out a plate of donuts that had just finished cooling. The glaze was still slightly warm and perfectly smooth. "These are my grandmother's recipe," she said proudly. She learned to make them from a baker on old Earth. Hyunwoo picked up one of the donuts and held it carefully, as if it were made of precious metal. He had been thinking about that first donut all morning. The taste had been unlike anything in his experience. "May I ask you something?" he said to Minji. "Of course. How do you decide what to do with your life? Do your parents choose your path for you?" Minji laughed. "My parents wanted me to be a doctor. They thought running a coffee shop was a waste of my education. But this makes me happy. I love seeing people smile when they taste something good. I love the smell of fresh coffee in the morning. I love being part of this community. But what about duty? What about serving the greater good?" "This is how I serve," Minji said simply. "By making people happy in small ways. Sometimes small happiness is more important than big duties." Hyunwoo took a bite of the donut. Again, the taste hit him like a revelation. The sweetness, the texture, the way it melted on his tongue. It was perfect in a way he had never experienced before. But this time something different happened. As the flavor spread through his mouth, Hyunwoo felt a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with dragon fire. His scales shifted to the brightest gold they had ever been. The humming sound that came from his throat was deeper and richer than before. The coffee shop began to resonate with the sound. The windows vibrated gently. The metal fixtures sang in harmony. Even the coffee machine seemed to purr in response. "Oh my," Minji said, watching in wonder. "That is beautiful." But the resonance was spreading beyond the coffee shop. In the distance, they could hear answering vibrations from the salvage yard. Hyunwoo's ship was responding to his joy. Dabin jumped up from his chair. "We need to get back to the yard now." They ran through the streets of New Busan Colony as fast as they could. Behind them, the resonance continued to spread. Street lamps hummed. Metal signs vibrated. Windows sang in harmony with Hyunwoo's emotional frequency. At the salvage yard, they found the crystal ship glowing like a small sun. All the damaged crystals were pulsing in perfect unison. The cracks in the hull were sealing themselves. The broken wing was growing back, crystal by crystal. "It is healing itself," Hyunwoo whispered in amazement. "Not healing," Dabin corrected. "Transforming. Look at the energy readings." The scanner showed patterns Dabin had never seen before. The ship was not just repairing itself. It was becoming something new. The crystals were forming connections that had not existed before. The energy flow was smoother and more efficient than any design in Dabin's experience. "What is happening to my ship?" Hyunwoo asked. "I think it is becoming happy," Dabin said with a grin. That was when the alarm started. Long-range sensors throughout the colony began screaming warnings. Something big was approaching from space. Something very big. Kim Ji-won, the colonial governor, appeared on the public communication system. Her voice was tight with worry. "All residents remain calm," she announced. "We are detecting multiple large vessels entering our system. They are not responding to our communications." Hyunwoo's golden scales turned pale. "No, they found me." "Who found you?" Dabin asked. "My bride," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Princess Sona has come for me." In the sky above New Busan, 7 massive warships materialized from hyperspace. Each ship was 3 times the size of the colony's largest building. They hung in the air like metal mountains blocking out the sun. A new voice echoed across the colony's communication system. The voice was female, cold and very angry. Prince Hyunwoo of House Ryong, the voice said. You will explain why you have been broadcasting mating frequencies across half the galaxy. And you will explain it now. Hyunwoo looked at the donut in his hand, then at his glowing ship, then at Dabin and Minji. For the first time in his life, he had found something that made him truly happy. Now he might lose it all. I think I am in trouble, he said. Princess Sona descended from the largest warship in a transport that sparkled like a jewel. She was beautiful in the way that sharp knives were beautiful, elegant and dangerous. Her scales were silver and blue, and they caught the light as she moved. Her eyes were the color of winter ice. She wore armor made of living crystal that flowed around her body like liquid metal. At her side hung a sword that hummed with contained energy. Everything about her spoke of power and control. Governor Kim Ji-won met the princess at the landing pad with a small group of colonial officials.
Ji-won was a careful woman who had kept New Busan peaceful for 10 years.
She knew how to handle difficult situations, but she had never dealt with angry alien royalty before. Your Highness, Ji-won said with a respectful bow. Welcome to New Busan Colony. How may we assist you? Princess Sona ignored the greeting. Her cold gaze swept across the simple colonial buildings and the humans gathered to watch her arrival. The look on her face suggested she was not impressed. Where is Prince Hyunwoo? She demanded. He is at the salvage yard with our mechanic, Ji-won said carefully. They are working on repairs to his ship. Mechanic? Sona's voice rose with disbelief. You allowed a primitive to touch a royal vessel? This is beyond insulting. Before Ji-won could respond, Dabin's voice came over the radio. Governor, you might want to get down here and bring the princess. She needs to see this. At the salvage yard, Princess Sona stared at Hyunwoo's transformed ship. The vessel looked nothing like the traditional dragon craft she knew. The crystal hull flowed in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Energy coursed through the structure in ways that should have been impossible. What have you done to his ship? She asked Dabin. I fixed it, Dabin said simply. Want to see the performance specs? He showed her the energy readings on his scanner. Sona's icy expression cracked slightly. The numbers were incredible. The ship was producing 30% more power while using 20% less fuel. The structural integrity was higher than any dragon vessel on record. This is impossible, she said. Impossible is what I do best, Dabin replied with a grin. Sona walked around the ship, studying every detail. Despite herself, she was fascinated. The design principles were completely foreign to her, but they worked. More than worked. They were elegant in a way she had never seen before. How? She asked. Your ships are built on tradition, Dabin explained. Same designs used for 1,000 years. But tradition does not always mean best. I looked at what the crystals actually wanted to do, not what they were supposed to do. Crystals do not want anything, Sona said coldly. They are tools, are they? Dabin touched the ship's hull. The crystals pulsed with gentle light in response. This ship is happier now than when it arrived. You can measure the difference. Sona's hand went to her sword. You speak nonsense. Happiness is not a measurement. Then explain those readings, Dabin challenged. Before Sona could answer, Prince Hyunwoo emerged from the coffee shop with Minji. He was carrying a tray of fresh pastries and coffee. When he saw his bride-to-be, his scales immediately shifted to a nervous brown color. Sona, he said quietly. You came. Of course I came, she snapped. You disappeared 3 days before our wedding. Your father is furious. The High Council demands explanations. And these signals you have been broadcasting. She paused, studying his face. There was something different about him. His golden eyes held a warmth she had never seen before. His posture was more relaxed, less rigid than the formal prince she remembered. You look well, she said, and there was confusion in her voice. I feel well, Hyunwoo admitted. For the first time in my life, I feel truly well. Minji stepped forward with her usual friendly smile. You must be Princess Sona. Hyunwoo has told us about you. Would you like some coffee? Sona stared at the human woman. No one had ever offered her refreshments so casually. Royal protocol demanded that food be presented by servants after proper ceremonies. This human was treating her like any other customer. I do not consume primitive beverages, Sona said stiffly. Oh, it is not primitive at all, Minji said cheerfully. Would you like to see how it is made? Despite herself, Sona found herself following Minji to the portable brewing station that Dabin had set up near his workshop. The princess watched with growing interest as Minji explained the process of extracting flavor from coffee beans. The key is controlling the temperature and pressure, Minji explained. Too hot and you burn the oils. Too cold and you do not extract enough flavor. It takes practice to get it right. This requires skill? Sona asked. Everything worth doing requires skill, Minji said. Even something as simple as making coffee for a friend. Sona accepted a cup and took a careful sip. Her silver and blue scales rippled with unexpected color. The taste was complex in a way she had not expected. Bitter and sweet at the same time, with layers of flavor that changed as she drank. This is adequate, she said, but her tone suggested she found it more than adequate. Now try it with one of these, Hyunwoo said, offering her a glazed donut. I do not eat unnecessary food, Sona protested. Neither did I, Hyunwoo said gently. Until yesterday. Something in his voice made her pause. She took the pastry and bit into it carefully. The effect was immediate. Her scales blazed with silver and gold light. A soft humming sound escaped her throat. What sorcery is this? She whispered, echoing her betrothed's earlier words. No sorcery, Dabin said. Just sugar and flour and a little happiness. Sona finished the donut in silence. When she was done, she looked at Hyunwoo with new eyes. The signals you broadcast, she said quietly. They were not mating calls. They were joy frequencies. Yes, Hyunwoo said. I was happy. Truly happy. I did not know such feelings existed. Sona turned to study the humans around her. Dabin with his grease-stained hands and clever eyes. Minji with her warm smile and generous heart. Governor Jiwon with her careful diplomacy. Your people, she said slowly. They live differently than we do. Different does not mean worse, Dabin said. No, Sona agreed, surprising everyone, including herself. It does not. But their moment of understanding was interrupted by a new arrival. A massive dragon ship descended from orbit, larger than all of Sona's fleet combined. Its hull was black crystal that seemed to absorb light. Ancient symbols glowed along its sides. Governor Jiwon's radio crackled to life. This is High Counselor Wonho of the Draconic Empire. We come to retrieve our wayward prince and cleanse this system of its corrupting influence. Prepare for judgment. Hyunwoo's scales went pale. The High Council. They have come to destroy everything. Princess Sona looked at her betrothed, then at the humans who had shown them both a different way of living. For the first time in her life, she had a choice to make. Duty to her people or loyalty to something new and wonderful. Not if I can help it, she said, and her hand moved away from her sword. High Counselor Wonho emerged from his massive ship like a living shadow. He was ancient even by dragon standards, his scales dark as midnight and marked with scars from countless battles. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 1,000 years of tradition. Prince Hyunwoo, Wonho said, his golden eyes burning with cold fire. You have brought shame to your house and confusion to the Empire. These frequency broadcasts have disturbed dragon colonies across 7 star systems. I meant no harm, Hyunwoo said, but his voice was steady. The fear that once controlled him was gone, replaced by something stronger. Intention matters little, Wonho replied. You will return with us immediately. This world will be cleansed of its corrupting influence. What corrupting influence? Princess Sona stepped forward. These humans have shown us possibilities we never considered. Wonho's ancient gaze fell on her with disapproval. You too have been affected by this madness. Look at yourself, child. Your scales glow with unnatural colors, it was true. Sona's silver and blue scales now held hints of gold and green. Colors that had appeared after tasting human coffee and pastries. She looked different, more alive somehow. These are not corruptions, she said firmly. They are improvements. Impossible, Wonho declared. Dragons are perfect as the ancestors made us. We require no improvements. Then explain this, Dabin said, stepping between the ancient dragon and the colonists. He held up his scanner, showing the energy readings from Hyunwoo's transformed ship. Your prince's vessel is now 30% more efficient than your best designs. Wonho barely glanced at the device. Primitive measurements mean nothing. They mean everything, Dabin said boldly. You talk about perfection, but your ships waste energy. Your crystals fight each other instead of working together. Your traditions are making you weak. The temperature around Wonho dropped noticeably. Ice began forming on nearby metal surfaces. You dare insult the ways of the Empire? I am not insulting anything, Dabin said calmly. I am offering to make things better. We do not need your improvements, primitive. Then why are more of your people coming to ask for them? As if summoned by his words, 3 more dragon ships landed near the salvage yard. From each vessel emerged dragons of different houses, drawn by the reports of the human who could improve crystal technology. Captain Jinwoo of House Storm approached first. His green and silver scales flickered with nervous energy. Counselor Wanho, honored elder, I request permission to observe these human innovations. Permission denied, Wanho said coldly. Return to your ship. With respect, Counselor, Captain Jinwoo continued, my engines have been failing for months. Our traditional repairs provide only temporary fixes. If this human can help, our ways are sufficient, Wanho declared. Are they? Princess Sona challenged. When was the last time we created something new? When did we last improve upon our ancestors' work? We preserve their wisdom, Wanho said. We preserve their limits, Sona countered. These humans do not just fix things. They make them better. They imagine possibilities we never considered. More dragons had gathered now, drawn by curiosity and hope. They formed a circle around the ancient counselor and the small group of humans. Some looked skeptical, but others showed clear interest in what Dabin had accomplished. Governor Jiwan stepped forward diplomatically. High Counselor, perhaps we could arrange a demonstration. Let your people see what cooperation between our species might achieve. There will be no cooperation, Wanho said firmly. Dragons do not learn from primitives. Then you will fall behind, Dabin said simply. While you protect old ways, others will discover new ones. Your empire will become a museum while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. Wanho's scales flared with heat. You know nothing of our empire. I know engineering, Dabin replied. And I know that standing still means falling behind. Your own people are coming here because they understand this truth. As if to prove his point, Captain Jinwoo spoke up again. My ship barely made it here, Counselor. The crystal matrix is failing. Our engineers say it cannot be repaired with traditional methods. Then it will be replaced, Wanho said dismissively. With what? Captain Jinwoo asked desperately. We have 3 ships waiting for new crystal cores. The old methods of growing them take years. Meanwhile, our patrol routes go undefended. Dabin looked at the struggling captain with sympathy. I could fix your ship in 2 days. Maybe less. You would do this? Jinwoo asked with hope. That is what mechanics do, Dabin said with a shrug. We fix things. Wanho stepped between them. You will not corrupt another dragon vessel. Corrupt? Prince Hyunwoo finally spoke with the full authority of his royal blood. Counselor, look at my ship. Really look at it. Wanho turned reluctantly to examine the transformed vessel. Even he could not deny its beauty. The crystal hull flowed like liquid starlight. Energy patterns danced through its structure in perfect harmony. It was clearly superior to any traditional dragon craft. The design is heretical, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. The design is revolutionary, Hyunwoo corrected. This human did not just repair my ship. He helped it become what it was always meant to be. And how did he accomplish this miracle? Wanho asked sarcastically. By asking what would make the ship happy instead of what tradition demanded. Hyunwoo said simply. The word happy seemed to strike Wanho like a physical blow. Ships do not experience happiness. Why not? Minji asked, stepping forward with her usual fearless friendliness. If they respond to emotions, why can they not feel emotions? Wanho stared at the small human woman as if she were speaking madness. Because that is not how things work. How do you know? She pressed gently. Have you ever asked a ship how it feels? The ancient dragon had no answer for that question. In all his centuries of existence, it had never occurred to him to consider the emotions of crystal vessels. Dabin seized the moment. Let me show you something, Counselor. He led the group to his workshop where he had been studying fragments of crystal from Hyunwoo's ship. Under his scanner, the crystals pulsed with gentle rhythms. Watch the pattern, Dabin said, touching one crystal gently. The pulse grew brighter and more regular. Now watch this. He touched the crystal roughly, like it was just a tool. The pulse became erratic and dim. The crystals respond to how they are treated, he explained. Treat them like partners instead of tools, and they work better. Several dragons in the crowd began murmuring among themselves. The idea was revolutionary, but the evidence was undeniable. This changes everything, Captain Jinwoo whispered. This changes nothing, Wanho declared, but doubt crept into his voice. We return to the homeworld now. No, Princess Sona said firmly. I invoke the right of innovation. Gasps arose from the gathered dragons. The right of innovation was an ancient law that allowed any royal to establish a research colony for the good of the empire. It had not been used in 500 years. I claim New Busan as a joint research facility, Sona announced. Here, dragons and humans will work together to improve our understanding of crystal technology. Wanho's eyes blazed with fury. The High Council will never approve this madness. The High Council will approve what I tell them to approve, said a new voice from the crowd. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. An ancient dragon even older than Wanho stepped forward. Her scales were pure white with veins of silver, and her eyes held the wisdom of ages. Elder Yunhee. Wanho breathed, bowing deeply. Hello, old friend, Elder Yunhee said with amusement. I came as soon as I heard about these interesting developments. She looked around at the humans and dragons gathered together, then at the transformed ship gleaming in the sunlight. Tell me, young human, she said to Dabin, can you really make our ships better? I can try, Dabin said honestly. Elder Yunhee smiled, showing teeth as white as her scales. That is all anyone can ask for. Elder Yunhee was the most powerful dragon in the empire. She had ruled for 3,000 years and seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. When she spoke, even High Counselor Wanho listened with respect. Show me what you have learned here, she said to Dabin. Dabin nodded and led her to his workshop. Inside, he had built something that made even the ancient dragon gasp with surprise. It was a small crystal matrix, but unlike any dragon design. Human metal components were woven through the crystal structure like veins of silver through marble. This is a hybrid system, Dabin explained. Crystal provides the energy flow, but metal guides and stabilizes it. The two materials work together instead of fighting each other. Elder Yunhee studied the device carefully. Her white scales shimmered as she extended her senses to feel the energy patterns flowing through it. Remarkable. The efficiency is beyond anything I have seen. And it is happy, Prince Hyunwoo added, still carrying a half-eaten donut from Minji's coffee shop. You can feel its contentment. The elder dragon looked at him with ancient eyes. You have changed, young prince. There is peace in you that was not there before. I found something I did not know I was missing, Hyunwoo said simply. And what is that? Choice, Hyunwoo said. The freedom to choose happiness over duty, joy over tradition. High Counselor Wanho stepped forward angrily. Elder, surely you do not approve of this rebellion against our ways. Our ways serve us well, Elder Yunhee said thoughtfully. But ways that cannot change become chains. These humans offer us something we have forgotten. What could primitives offer us? Wanho demanded. Wonder, the elder said simply. When did you last feel wonder, old friend? Wanho had no answer for that question. Minji approached the group with a tray of fresh coffee and pastries. She had spent the morning preparing enough for all the dragons who had arrived. Her small coffee shop could not hold them all, so she had moved her operation outside. Would you like to try something, Elder Yunhee? Minji asked politely. I have been learning to make coffee using dragon fire. Prince Hyunwoo has been teaching me. The ancient dragon looked down at the small human woman with curiosity. You are not afraid of me. Should I be? Minji asked with genuine confusion. You seem very wise and kind. Elder Yunhee had been called many things in her long life. Powerful, terrible, magnificent, feared, but kind. That was something new. What would you have me try? She asked. Minji offered her a glazed donut and a cup of coffee brewed with Hyunwoo's carefully controlled flame. This is what started everything, she said with a smile. The elder dragon accepted the offerings with formal dignity. She sipped the coffee first, her expression thoughtful. Then she bit into the donut. The reaction was immediate and profound. Elder Yunhee's white scales blazed with colors that had never been seen before. Gold and silver and rainbow hues that shifted like aurora. The sound that came from her throat was like music, deep and rich and full of joy. Every dragon in the area stopped what they were doing. The sound of their elder experiencing pure happiness was something none of them had ever heard. It was beautiful beyond description. By the ancient flames, Elder Yunhee whispered, staring at the simple pastry in her hand. What magic is this? No magic, Dabin said with a grin. Just sugar and flour and butter. And maybe a little love. The elder dragon finished the donut in reverent silence. When she was done, she looked around at the humans and dragons gathered together. Her ancient eyes were bright with unshed tears of joy. 3,000 years I have lived, she said softly. I have conquered worlds and built an empire. I have seen wonders beyond counting. But this simple sweetness, This moment of perfect happiness, this is something new. High Counselor Wanho watched his elder with growing alarm. You cannot be serious about supporting this madness. What madness? Elder Yunhee asked, her voice gaining strength. The madness of cooperation? The madness of learning from others? The madness of choosing happiness over rigid tradition? She turned to address all the dragons present. Look around you. These humans have taken our broken prince and helped him find joy. They have taken our failing technology and made it better. They offer us friendship without asking for conquest in return. Captain Jinwoo stepped forward hopefully. Does this mean you approve Princess Sona's research colony? I do more than approve it, Elder Yunhee declared. I authorize it with the full authority of the Dragon Throne. New Busan will become the first joint human-dragon settlement in the galaxy. The cheers from both species were deafening. Dragons roared with approval while humans shouted with joy. Even Governor Jiwon allowed herself a smile of relief. But High Counselor Wanho was not finished. This is heresy, he declared. I will not allow it. You will allow it, Elder Yunhee said with quiet authority. Or you will be stripped of your position and exiled to the outer worlds. The choice is yours, old friend. Wanho glared at her with frustrated rage, but he knew he had been defeated. The elder's word was law, and even he could not challenge her authority directly. Very well, he said through gritted teeth, but mark my words. This alliance will bring nothing but trouble. Perhaps, Elder Yunhee said peacefully, but it will also bring growth. And growth requires the courage to try new things. 3 months later, New Busan had become the most unusual colony in human space. Dragon engineers worked alongside human mechanics in workshops that hummed with hybrid technology. The coffee shop had expanded into a full restaurant where both species gathered to share meals and ideas. Prince Hyunwoo had officially renounced his claim to the Dragon Throne, choosing instead to stay on New Busan as the colony's first cultural exchange director. His broadcasts of joy had become legendary throughout the galaxy, inspiring other worlds to seek their own paths to happiness. Princess Sona had established the New Busan Research Institute, where teams of humans and dragons worked together to develop new technologies that combined the best of both species. Her engagement to Hyunwoo had been called off by mutual agreement, but she remained on the colony as his partner in both work and friendship. Dabin found himself with more work than he could handle. Dragons came from across the empire seeking his services. He had trained a team of human and dragon apprentices who were spreading his hybrid techniques throughout known space. His salvage yard had become the most advanced workshop in the galaxy, but the real success was measured in smaller ways. In the laughter of dragons tasting ice cream for the first time. In the wonder of humans learning to sing in crystal harmonies. In the friendship between species who had once been strangers. Minji's coffee shop had become the heart of the colony. Every morning, humans and dragons gathered there to start their day with caffeine and conversation. The menu now included items that could only be prepared with dragon fire, creating flavors that neither species could achieve alone. Elder Yunhee visited often, always requesting the same simple meal that had changed everything, a glazed donut and coffee. She had become the colony's most enthusiastic supporter, often bringing delegations of skeptical dragons to see what cooperation could accomplish. As Dabin watched the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors, he reflected on how much had changed. A simple act of mechanical repair had become a revolution. A crashed ship had become the foundation of a new kind of society. Not bad for a primitive, he said to himself with a grin. Behind him, the sound of human laughter mixed with dragon song as another day ended in the strangest and most wonderful place in the galaxy. New Busan had become proof that sometimes the best solutions came from the most unexpected places. And it all started with a donut.